morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Linda Ellis. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the UK, and my website is lindaspapercraft.co.uk. And welcome to Start the Week Stamping. And this week I'm going to show you how I've made a floating frame card using the Butterfly Brilliance stamps and dies, and then I've used one of my layering circle dies to cut the hole there for you. And this time, instead of using basic white, and then that looks like granny apple green to me, I'm going to try it with some paper from the Hues of Happiness DSP, and also this is the Daydream Hostess Designer Series paper. So I thought I'd cut my butterflies out of this, and then that'll be my background. I did half wonder about doing that, but I thought I might be a little bit too busy, so I'm doing this side. So basically, if it works, you're watching the video. If it didn't, I will have deleted it, so you'll never see it, and I will deny all knowledge. Right, so let's get started. So I am going to, first of all, stamp my butterflies. So I've got my Stamparatus here. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually stamp the butterflies on here so I can position my Designer Series paper where I want it. So this will go on our biggest block. It's quite heavy. So it's a bit cumbersome to do on the big block, which is why I tend to do it on my Stamparatus. So I'll just pick that up. Take out the foam, because we don't need that, which means that magnet's going to be really difficult to get off. Okay, so I'll just pop that on there to keep that nice and still. And then I'm using Memento Black to get a nice crisp image. So I live in South Manchester, and it's quite humid around here, as you'll all have heard about how it never stops raining. So I tend to use the Memento rather than the Stampin' Up! Basic Black because it dries quicker. So in our lovely soggy atmosphere, the Basic Black does take a little bit longer to dry. Right, so, and then I'm just going to get my damp cloth that I use to clean my stamps with, and I'm just pressing that down evenly across so I get a nice image. Still not managed it over there. Let's get it done. I think it's a nice thing as well with these big stamps and your Stamparatus. If it doesn't quite catch it all first time, you can stamp again. So there we go. So we've got all our butterflies on there now. I do have a doofer for doing that with again. Things are disappearing in my craft room at the moment, and we are blaming the 16-year-old. Right, so I'm just going to pop that on there. Now, you can't put a magnet on this because the stamp's too big, so you won't be able to see. It won't stamp properly if you put the magnet on. So I'm just going to re-ink, make sure I've super re-inked this stamp. Also, I like Memento because I don't have to think about it if I'm colouring in, because I can use both the Stampin' Right markers and the stamping blends. So it's a useful one to have. Right, let's go again. So I'm just double checking. Yes, in my exuberance, it's moved. So I'm just going to line it up. So I've got, so there's little bits of butterfly overlapping the edge. Okay, there we go, and just shut it. Now this time, because it's not got the magnet on, it may well move, so I want to make sure that I've got it nice and stamped before I lift it up, because this is a one and only chance. So particularly on this side here, where it was struggling before. I think sometimes just near the hinge it just needs a little extra push, and hopefully either that's done it or it doesn't move when I open it. You can do that with your fingers, but it's quite painful, I find. Oh, it hasn't moved, but it doesn't matter because it's stamped beautifully. No, it hasn't there. Big stamps. Beautiful. So now that's stamped, I'm just going to position these two together. Like that. And then decide where I'm going to have my sentiment. And I think I'm going to put it about there. So I'm just going to nip over to my cutting machine and cut that out. I'll be back in a moment. So now that I've cut the circle out of both pieces, so that I'll be able to place that on the card and you can see through both pieces when they're straight. I'm now going to cut out the butterflies, so you don't want to be cutting this one. So I am just going to take this over to my die cutting machine and cut out the butterflies. So that's all the die cutting done. Right, so now what I need to do is stamp my sentiment on the front of the card. So I'm just flattening out the card front and positioning the designer series paper on the front, and I'm just going to put something on it to weigh it down. I'm just going to put that on it to weigh it down. Right, and now I'm just going to stamp the sentiment in the circle. I've not glued it down because if you're not happy with the stamp, you can always cut out another piece and cover it up, if you see what I mean. You've not wasted a card blank, although you won't have wasted a card blank because you just make it another one with a solid background. Right, so thank you for everything just in the middle of that circle. And there we go. How beautiful is that? So I've stamped that in Night of Navy because that's one of the colours that goes with the Hues of Happiness. So right. And then we need to do the jigsaw. Now you can do this one of two ways. You can either pop it all back in the die, use a piece of Glad wrap and just stick it all to it and then stick it down with some dimensionals. However, it's quite a large piece to do that with, and what we found when I did this in a class was it was easier to just do it as a jigsaw. So this one is this die here, so it goes around the circle and straight to the side. So it goes there. Okay, so I'm just going to pop some dimensionals on and we will stick that down. So you definitely need a couple near the edge, and then just a few more. And I think I'm just going to put, if I can find my scissors, a little one just on this bit here. So just thinking I'm actually going to do one of these in betweeny strips because they're really small, because you don't want the corners sort of flapping around. Okay, so there, oh, one on the head as well, I think, or near the head. Okay, it is quite a dimensional rich card, this one, because you're sticking all the pieces down individually. So, just checking I'm videoing then. Don't want to have to start again. Right. Okay. Making sure you've got all your dimensional tops off. So again, without actually touching it down, so we're lining up to the edge of the card and then to the circle. So we've got the circle, got the edge of the card. Yeah, just about there or thereabouts. She says it's miles off. I've pressed it down now. There's nothing I can do. You can take a little bit more time and just work out where you want it. Right, so this one is here at the bottom. Only one line to line up to on this one, which is nice and easy. So maybe 3 on here. So that one's just above the bottom, lined up against the side of the card. Okay, we've got another side and circle here. So that one's going just there. Let's see if we can line this one up any better than the last one. Taking those off again. I suppose what you could do actually is use the Glad Wrap to do the ones around the circle. And then do the sort of free floating ones. I'm going to get my head in the way this time so that I can actually get it properly lined up. Happy with that. See how it's actually lined up with the circle. Okay, what do we have here? Oh, we have this bottom corner here. You can see, so it's just lining up with the bottom and the side. I'm loving the colours of these butterflies. There's a few different multicoloured backgrounds on the Hues of Happiness DSP. As a demonstrator, we're allowed to order things earlier than everyone else, so we get a month where we can order stuff from the new catalogue. And the first thing that fell in my basket was this paper. Closely followed by this one, I must admit. It's really useful. It's really good for those of us who do classes because there's just loads, absolutely loads. Every sheet's got 8, I think. So it just, 4 rather, so it makes it easier. It's 12 by 12 and it's got 4 sheets of each pattern in. Right, so again, stand up, stick your bum out, look from the top and line up. There you go. Okay, this little one just comes in up here, so that's a nice and easy one. Oh, there's the other one. I was saying the other one's disappeared, but there it is. Okay, so just a couple of dimensionals on this one. If you do misposition dimensionals before the glue's set, they're quite easy to move. Once you've really patted them down, they're not. And if I was really bothered about this, what I could do is come in with my scissors, in between, snip the dimensionals. So in between the card and the DSP, snip the dimensionals, roll them off and do it again. You don't have to roll them off quite carefully, that you know, so you don't, with it being DSP rather than card. Woo! Or, don't stick it down till you're happy with it, Linda. It's also a good idea. There we go. And then the final one is going here. So that's just fine. So it's lining up with the edge and with the circle there in that top corner. So the edge of the wings. Put a smaller one down here. That one there. I can use one of these. Little hexagons everywhere now. That one, just come over the edge, just lift that up and swizz it round a bit. So technical term there, I hope you heard. Okay. So pop off the covers. I do believe the rain stopped. Okay, just pop this one on. Okay, so lining up side of the card the circle. There we go. So all that remains to be done now is to glue the card together. See, that's the other side of the kites. It's gorgeous, this paper. So, glue, 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 glue. There it is lying down. I'm just going to glue this onto the front. And I'm quite pleased the way that's come out with using the designer series paper. Obviously you could do it on the basic white and colour your butterflies in if you want. And you can do it with any stamp. Doesn't have to be, it's more convenient to do it in a nice big stamp because the layout's already sorted for you, but you could do it with any stamp. And then I'm just going to pop that on the front. Slide it around till I'm happy, and there you go, a floating frame card with some brightly coloured butterflies on. I am going to go clip, I'll show you how to do it actually. So I am not happy with that. So you just go in with your scissors and carefully cut your dimensionals. It was Brian from the USA who showed me how to do this. He's a good, tell you, if you like clean and simple cards, just follow Stamp with Brian and you'll get loads of ideas. So as you can see, that one's already come off. And because we've only just put them on, so I am just literally very carefully rolling off the foam. It doesn't matter if you leave the adhesive because we're sticking again on top. So just roll off the foam. Okay. I'll do the same on the butterfly. And just roll off the foam. Be careful, as I say, because it's only DSP. So you're holding it down and just rolling it with your fingers. Now obviously the sooner after you first put it on the better. The longer you leave it, the harder it will be. So there we go. Okay, let's get another sheet of dimensionals. If I can find a sheet that's got any on. No, we're on bones again. Got one sneaky one on this one. Hiding in the corner. That's on again, and then once you've got your butterflies on, oh, another sneaky one. Nope, that's not going to work there. Pop that there. So there, bonus tutorial, how to fix it when it goes wrong. Take the tops off. And this time I'm going to let my head get in the way of the camera so I can line it up properly so that they're all around that circle. There we go. Right, excuse my head. So we're lined up on the circle but not to the side. Tweezers, tweezers, tweezers. Okay, so sides lined up. Just about. Circles lined up, maybe slightly further down. So you can see if you haven't actually pressed it down, it's quite easy to take off your dimensionals. Still just showing a wee bit. There you go. There we go. Happy with that. Right, okay. So there we are. So 2 floating frame cards using the butterfly dies. I do like these, and it does save you colouring them all in. unless you love colouring, and then get the colouring pens out. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed that, and take care. See you soon. Bye.